Well, I made it. That was an epic journey across Seattle to get to where the Apple Store is, over here. Ugh, just insane. Well, I am ready to leave Seattle, I gotta tell you. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. I haven't been able to post much over the past week because my computer's been in the Apple Store getting fixed. So I got my RV fixed, I got the window replaced, and then it turns out that my laptop, which is a 2018 MacBook Pro, has been experiencing problems with the keyboard. And it turns out that the keyboard is essentially defective or problematic in many of these 2018 laptops. And since there's an Apple Store here in Seattle, I needed to take advantage of that and take it in there and have it fixed. It's a fix they can do in store, but it meant leaving the computer with them for a few days. I coincided it with the birthday party that I was going to for a friend. And where I'm parked here in Seattle is actually pretty cool. I'm in an area called West Seattle, and the friend happens to be at this property that is very unique and unusual. It has a bunch of bamboo trees in it. It's got a bunch of trees that are sort of what you would expect to find on a tropical island. And the owner just decided many years ago it would be really cool to have something unique in the area. So when you walk in, there are palm trees and there are tons of bamboo trees. There's a creek running through it, and there's some banana trees there. The whole thing is just really visually interesting. And so I had a party there on Saturday night, and so I had scheduled the computer to be there on Saturday and Sunday, and Apple would be able to make the repairs during about a 2.5 day period. What I want to show you in this video is what it's like to travel through Seattle. Seattle's kind of an insane city to travel through. There aren't too many direct routes to places, just because of the nature of the geology, the way that there's water everywhere, and there are hills and valleys. It's kind of nuts the way the city is laid out. So I had to take my scooter from the area in West Seattle where I'm at and traverse through a whole bunch of industrial areas and up the backside of another area. Now, if we were going on the freeway, it would be more direct, but I can't take the freeway, and the freeway in and of itself here in Seattle is kind of intense. It goes right through the middle of Seattle, and at many parts of the day it's just completely packed with traffic. And so sometimes it's actually just faster to go through the back roads. So I ended up going through many parts of the city that I'm really familiar with. And I went through the industrial areas. I went through an area called Capitol Hill and First Hill that I used to live in. And it was interesting to drive through those areas because I was really familiar with them, having lived through there. But it was also kind of shocking to see how much they had changed. Some areas were remarkably the same, but other areas were just completely different. It's really become kind of an upscale area. It's one of the reasons why so many people have left, because the cost of housing and the cost of living up there has become dramatically expensive. Another thing I noticed was that there was a lot of urban art that I hadn't noticed before. So by the time you get through the dense part of Capitol Hill, you begin exiting off this area called Capitol Hill, and you go into an area called the University District. And there are a couple of ways that you can get down into there. What I just want to show you is that there's no direct route through there. It's just stressful all the way through. It just is crazy. And I've ended up getting to the point where I'm so ready to leave Seattle. It's just been really stressful. You go over a whole series of bridges. One of them is a drawbridge that's called the University Bridge. It connects Lake Washington with Lake Union. Lake Union is a lake in the middle of Seattle, right in the middle of Seattle, and Lake Washington is a long lake that basically splits Seattle off from another area called Bellevue. It's really pretty when you go over this bridge. I just happened to hit this bridge when it was needing to go up to allow a huge sailboat to go under. And it's actually spectacular footage to see. But when you're stressed out from having to drive on a scooter through the dense city, it just wasn't as fun as I had hoped it to be. I eventually got myself into the area where the Apple Store is, and the Apple Store is in an area that is fairly upscale, and it's just, there's no direct route through there. The traffic is terrible all the way through. And when you get into this major shopping area where the Apple Store is, the parking inside of there is even worse. But I finally found a parking space that I was able to get into that was just, this is where my scooter comes in handy, because you can just park in these little corner parking spaces. I was able to take my computer into the Apple Store, and the Apple Store there is really posh. It's a great Apple Store. And unfortunately, I had to leave my computer there for them to get that fixed. But that meant that, you know, I dropped it off and I was able to go all the way back to West Seattle and be there for my friend's birthday party and just kind of hang out and enjoy the incredibly cool and crazy part of West Seattle that he lives in. I'm ready to get out of Seattle, but I just wanted to give you a quick rundown what it's like to drive through Seattle. And if you're thinking about moving to Seattle, I got to tell you, think long and hard about it, because your traffic experience is not going to be fun. It's crazy driving through this city. And frankly, many of the roads are in terrible condition. I mean, the Pacific Northwest has to go through a lot of weather, which can affect the roads. But when you're on a scooter, you really feel it, especially during parts of the city where they're doing a lot of construction, which happen to be around the area of the University of Washington that you have to go through to get to the Apple Store. It's perpetually under construction, and so the roads there are always experiencing bad congestion. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an update about what it's like being in Seattle. I'm ready to move on. I'm probably in about 4 days I'll be leaving, and I'll be heading north towards Bellingham, and I'll be staying at some smaller communities, which I'm really looking forward to get into. So anyway, thanks for watching.